Hello, happy Wednesday, friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Cassie. I am back today with the Brutus Monroe Inspiration Team blog hop, and our challenge today was subscription items for October. So I'm going to be showing you a lot of fun subscription items that you can get in the store. And let's go ahead and get started with what we're making. I am going to make some Halloween treat bags, and I got these bags at the dollar store. I think there were a pack of 3 for $1. I'm going to start off by using some of this surface spray. It's called Cabbage. Now this is not new to Brutus Monroe. They've had it in the past, but they're just now bringing it back. Now this is, I think, a new color, but this stuff is really pretty interesting. I'm going to have to do a whole new video just separate on these surface inks because they are incredible. My next step is going to be grabbing one of the dies of the month. Now this is not the die of the month for this month. This was a few months back, but it is still available in the store, so I will have it linked down below in the description box along with everything that I've used. But I'm just using a metal shim, and I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. To get all those pieces out, I did end up using that Sizzix foam brush, and that helps so much. All right, the next thing I'm doing, I have done in the past, and I am basically just finding a pattern within the die, and obviously they're all patterns. So I'm just finding a pattern that I like, and I'm cutting around that particular pattern. And I don't think I mentioned it, but this particular die is called Tile, and it's a much better deal to do the die of the month as a subscription, but you can, like I said before, you can purchase this in the store. So I'll have it linked down below. Now I'm going to do it on the other side as well, because my goal is to actually cut this in half again, and then I will be able to use it on the top and the bottom of the piece that I'm putting onto my bag. So I'm going to trim that down, cut it in half, and then I'm going to trim off those extras, the sides, and then I'm going to trim my pattern paper down. That pattern paper comes from the Haunted Mansion paper, and it is just awesome. It's brand new. So again, have that linked down below. And now I'm grabbing a piece of sidewalk cardstock, and I'm going to cut out a circle, and I'm going to set that aside because I plan to do something with that later. But I'm going to put this inside of my Misty, this extra paper, and I'm going to ink up the stamp of the month along with the sentiment. And I'm going to put that in my Misty, ink it up with some embossing ink from Brutus Monroe. I love the fangs. It reminds me of my childhood. I just remember how uncomfortable those things were. You'd get a pack, you'd be so excited, you're like, I'm going to look like a vampire. You put them in your mouth, and you could keep them in for maybe all of 30 seconds because they were so uncomfortable. Before I go to stamping, I'm going to use my magic powder bag, and then, like I said, I'll ink up my stamps and then stamp that down. And then I'm going to cover that with the embossing powder of the month. This powder is beautiful. It's called Wicked. It's this pretty, like, green, and it comes out looking kind of I don't know, olive tone, and it's so pretty. You know, the first thing you think of when you hear Wicked is like maybe a witch or something like that. So I just think this powder is just, it's so pretty, so pretty. So I'm heating that till that is smooth and melted, and you'll be able to tell by just looking, kind of holding it in the light. It'll go from a matte finish to a shiny. And then I'm going to fussy cut those fangs out, just using my Brutus Monroe scissors. And it's really pretty simple because it's a very simple image to cut out. There aren't a lot of details to it. But I do decide that I want to cut out the center as well. So I am going to poke my scissors through the center, just being careful to avoid my fingers. And then once I get that poked, I will go from underneath, sticking the top of the scissors through from underneath. And then this way I can have a better feel of how I'm cutting, and it's just a lot easier to do it from this way. So that way the center is cut out. And now I'm moving back to the bag, but you can see that some of that Cabbage surface ink kind of dried back into the background, but you can still see it. However, those big splotches that I did, the reason I did that is because I knew that those would really stand out. That stuff is so cool. I'm going to grab the Cabbage surface ink again, surface spray, and I'm going to spray it onto my circle. And then I'm going to dry that with my heat tool. And then I'm going to get ready to start assembling all of my pieces. Everything's pretty much ready. So it's just assembly now. And I'm grabbing the Brutus Monroe craft glue, and I'm going to just stick some glue just on some of those spots. It's not This one's going to go on the back, so it's okay if it kind of squishes out the back a little bit, so I'm not really that worried about that. It's when I start trying to assemble or put it all onto the bag that you do need to be a little bit more careful of where you're putting your glue. But for starters, I'm just kind of putting it down in places that I think might be areas where it could potentially pop up. And so I'm just sticking that down, and it's kind of neat how you can use your dies in different ways. So instead of using it just as a background, I'm using it as kind of like, I guess, lace almost. So now I'm putting that glue, and I'm sorry I'm a little bit off screen, just putting that glue in a few areas on the parts that stick out. Just trying to make sure that I get it in spots where I would be concerned about it popping up, but you don't have to go too crazy with the glue. I obviously did put a lot more on the patterned paper backing, and then I'll set that off to the side to dry. I'm going to take my little fangs and I'm going to cover the back of those with some foam tape, just for some added dimension. And then I'll peel off that backing paper and put that down onto my circle. And then we'll get ready to put that onto the bag. I'm going to use that same craft glue to attach all the rest of my pieces. And as I said, this is a part of a blog hop, so I'm going to have all the information listed down below, like the link to my blog, so that you can head back to my blog, so you can check out the rest of the inspiration team's take on subscription items. But yeah, so this is the bag that I made. I'm actually going to add one more piece to it. This is going to be the Nuvo drops in the color Apple Sour, and these do glow in the dark. And I did make one more bag. That bag is pretty much just like this, except it uses a white bag, and I use the Aubergine surface spray along with some Aubergine surface ink, and then I also used an embossing powder that was called Night Shift, and if I can find that in the store, I will link that down below. But that's how the second bag looked. So if you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as I said, head on back to my blog and check it out. I will be back later today with another video because I'm going to be on the Brutus Monroe blog. So be sure to come back. And as always, thank you guys so much for stopping by.